Hello and greetings. Assalamu alaikum. This is Light of Isra podcast that you're listening or watching. I have a very special guest today. Before I introduce her, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. There are many programs that I'm bringing. Last week was amazing guest, and this week you will be delighted to have another guest on my podcast, which is going to be published tomorrow, and that is Secrets of Divine Love's author, A. Halwa. So I hope you will join in there and also listen and watch the special guest that I have today, and that is very timely guest actually. It is most charged. I should say charged election time, and we have somebody from our Massachusetts 4th district. So I have my special guest today, and please, I would love you all to connect with her and welcome her on my podcast, and let me know what you think of her. Go ahead, Ihssane. Please introduce yourself, who you are, and what do you do.
Well, Assalamu alaikum, Shua, and thank you so much for hosting me in this really timely time, as you said, as we approach a historic campaign of, could be one of our lives.
Yeah.
I am proud to be a former candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives for Congress here in Massachusetts 4th District, a district that covers 34 towns and cities from Fall River to Brookline, a district that is truly diverse in people's backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds and religious backgrounds and professional backgrounds, and where I got to meet with so many great people who supported me and many who supported other great candidates who also ran in this race.
Very nice. Thank you so much for being here, taking out time. I know it's a busy time, and I'm sure you are on the road, or are you working from home? How is it working nowadays?
So I am honorary co-chair on the Yes on 2 campaign for ranked choice voting in Massachusetts. So I've been busy promoting ranked choice voting, answering questions with voters, and I will be actually hosting an Instagram live on Saturday night with Bessie Sweet, who championed ranked choice voting in Maine, and will be answering live questions.
Oh, nice. Where can we find your link? Is it on your website, or is there a place where we can find?
Yes, it's at Ihssane Leckey for my Instagram. Yeah.
Ihssane Leckey, just the way it is on your on Instagram. Yeah. Okay. I'll put that link as well. So I want you to let us know how can we support this election and what can we do? How can we learn more about what is the issue? How can we come forward as a layperson?
Thank you. Yes, we should. I think this is a time for us to truly unite and believe that we can give our democracy another chance. I think, especially when I speak with voters who are undecided on the presidential election, I say this is the time where you're going to actually give us a chance to be able to fight for what we believe in. So if you vote to unseat Trump, if you vote for Biden-Harris, you are going to give all Americans a chance to fight for our rights. If that is universal health care, if that is environmental justice, and more, we're going to be able to actually rally the Biden-Harris administration and feel that, we will be listened to.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. So I'm debating, should I begin with you? What made you go into this challenging field? What made your decision?
Well, it's a long story, Shua.
Okay.
I grew up in Meknes, Morocco, a little city in North Africa, where my father taught Arabic to 5th and 6th grades.
Oh.
And my mother, who grew up on the farm, she raised my 3 brothers and I was a surprise child.
Oh, wow.
10 years later, I showed up.
Okay, okay.
And so, I mean, we grew up paycheck to paycheck. We didn't, vacations meant that we drive 40 minutes to, not drive, we take a taxi 40 minutes to my grandma's house, and that was the summertime for us. And, I think what truly stayed with me was the values that I was raised on, is to help the most vulnerable. My dad, he did a lot of work for girls in education in Morocco. He walked to faraway farms and told farmers about how sending their daughters to school will actually bring potential to the farm and grow their business. He was the kind of a man who truly, believed in speaking to people in the streets and motivating them and changing their minds on what could actually be of benefit to our society as a whole. And I learned a lot from that. I came to the U.S. when I was 19, going on to 20. I did everything that I could to survive. I was in New York City.
Oh, wow.
I mopped the floors in restaurants. I babysat. I earned some minimum wage.
Wow. A real story of an immigrant, huh?
Yes. So it's your typical.
Typical.
Well,
depends.
A lot of what we hear is more of the immigrant experience. That's what we hear. The immigrant experience, where most people think of their parents or their grandparents when they came here, and how they had to go through the hurdles of poverty to become successful. And what I had experienced was that poverty will never be a token and will never be a condition for success. Poverty sets you back. Poverty takes away the opportunities and the potential that you could have achieved if you didn't have to be brutalized and to be traumatized by being housing insecure, by being healthcare insecure, by being denied a bank account, et cetera, et cetera. And so these are things that really motivated me to look at our country, the United States of America. So, you asked me, when did I start to think this way?
Yeah.
And it's actually more recently that I started to believe that I can do something to change it.
That's the thing, right? Like to feel that I can participate in the political and democratic system and be part of it and really do something. Not everybody, I mean, even if we say, well, yeah, my parents aren't in politics, or I don't know, if I'm just a average person, how to get into, we never think of that way.
Yeah.
Especially because your background is not in politics, right? Your parents are not in politics, and they weren't. Yeah.
My parents did not believe in politics. My parents believed that, voting doesn't matter, that we didn't feel represented, we didn't feel that we had a voice, and we didn't grow up in a democracy.
Right.
And here, in America, this is the country of freedom, of liberty, of human rights. The reputation that it sends across the world of a country where if you work hard, you get. But we started to see that, you work hard and you don't get, right? That your income doesn't pay the basic necessities to live. And so every step of my career, I chose at the center of it to help people. So I worked after college. I worked in a food bank, one of the biggest food banks in the country, in the tri-state area, fighting food deserts.
Wow.
I lobbied the state house in Pennsylvania to not cut food stamps.
Excellent.
And then realized that under the pressures of the 2008 financial crisis, that states and municipalities were also losing revenue, and so they weren't able to pay their debt service, and they were looking into austerity measures.
Hmm.
And that drove me to the second part of my career, where I helped those states and municipalities refinance when the interest rates dropped. I helped save cities from going bankrupt.
Oh,
I'm a bit of I'm a mathematician and an economist, so
excellent.
I've done some modeling work and programming work and
Oh,
to
nice.
solve really big problems.
Hmm.
But that taught me that that fundamentally where the problems came from were the deregulation of our financial system.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that happened especially during the Clinton
Hmm.
administration.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so when 2008 happened, the banking system, the biggest banks, started to
Hmm.
fail. And so that was the time where the Dodd-Frank was passed, and I joined the Federal Reserve and became a Wall Street regulator,
Wow.
fighting the biggest banks on Wall Street on behalf of the American people, and
Nice.
saving the economy from another wreck.
Wow, you have done. So you answered my question, like, what have you achieved? What have you done? Right? So you did it. So now, especially with the current work that you're doing, how is that going for you? The
Right. I mean, look, I think that right now, if you're talking about ranked choice voting
Yes,
and
ranked just voting. Yeah,
electing, yeah.
yeah.
So the two areas that I'm focused on is to, first of all, I want to continue the fight for universal health care,
Okay.
for environmental justice. We are in an environmental
Yes,
emergency,
yes.
for eliminating poverty, and for an international policy that has, compassion and kindness for the people at its core. Not emboldening, more, I guess, trying to fight for democracy across the world. That's the way I like to say it. And I think the current president has really deceived the people of this country and hurt our reputation worldwide and sided with leaders who aren't fit to represent their people, who are trying to embezzle from the resources of their own country for
Right.
their own self-interest. And so that is, to me, the number one goal is to get Trump out of office and to fight for our democracy and our dignity.
Yeah, yeah. So I assume because when I looked at your agendas, and most of them touched me because, especially like immigration, definitely, I'm myself an immigrant, and the rights of Native Americans. I am very much involved. Well, nowadays it's COVID, so we can't be so much involved, but online, how to support them and their organization. They are struggling all the time. They are in a very dire position, and especially in COVID. Um, I don't know how much is happening about it and what can be done. How can an average person, I mean, I know in the interest of time, I have so much to ask, but if we can address some such issues which can cover more space, it would be like, first of all, how can we encourage people to vote? And how can would you encourage women to participate in politics? Should they come? Is it a place for women? Not? Like, what would you say about that first? And then I can go to the next.
Well, I mean, people have to vote. If you have not voted early yet, please do so.
Yeah.
And vote. It's your right. It's your voice. And I heard from a Pakistani friend, actually, a Pakistani American friend, who said to me, she said, people in Pakistan get engaged in politics because whether they do or not, it happens and it's going to continue to exist and decisions are going to be made. And it made me realize that in America, when I've spoken with Pakistani communities across the U.S., they're more receptive to the idea of fundraising, to the idea of running for office, to the idea of fighting for our rights as a people. And that is gold. That's a cultural, it's a cultural quality that I, for example, didn't find with Moroccan Americans, and I'm Moroccan American, where people came from a system that didn't really give them a voice, right? Where they felt that their vote didn't really matter, or there was corruption, etc. So when we're working through encouraging women to run for office, and especially when we talk about Muslim women, for example, running for office, knowing that there will be implications, there will be death threats, there will be othering. If you're an immigrant,
we are just without being in office.
Yes, there's a sense of otherness, and there's a sense of doubt on whether you'll be able to deliver, whether you are quote unquote professional, right? Whether you have the resume.
Yes.
But even if you show the resume, even if you show the qualifications, there's still other things that come into place. And as we work between different groups in the United States, when we talk about women running for Congress or for office, we should talk about women of color. We should talk about working class women of color, Muslim working class women of color running for office, and how we can support them. And that starts from getting to know each other, getting to know each other's cultures, each other's differences. And, I find a lot of that in the interfaith space. I find it in the professional space.
Yep.
And that will lead us to being able to empower more women to run.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I think that, we want to see a more diverse representation, right? We want to see a more representative democracy.
Yep.
But to do that, we really have to understand what are the challenges that people go through when they decide to run. When they put their life on hold to run, and especially in a country where there is racism, there is Islamophobia, there is xenophobia. How are we going to provide a supportive system for the sister or brother who's going to be running for office? And that's a level of experience that I've built on this campaign, and from connecting with many who have been running, including Nabila Islam, who ran in Georgia, and many others. And look forward to, passing down what I know to encourage more women to run.
Excellent. Do you think we can reach a just society, even, I don't know what percentage I can say about, but when you are working and you're doing what you're doing, what do you see? Is there more of good, or is it equal? Like when you are out there, what are your challenges? Are there more challenges than less, or are there more challenges to do the right thing for other people or who support you? Or is it a dumb question?
It's definitely more. No question is. There's no such thing as a dumb question, Shoa.
I was like, okay, that's understood. Like, it's very challenging and this and that. But I do want to ask that because I want to give hope. So, what is the reality of it? Yeah,
it's important to actually feel hopeful.
Yeah,
and to do that is to have a way to reward yourself, no matter how small the action you've taken on any given day. I think that, when life is hard on us, we become hard on ourselves, and we become hard on others. And I've seen that, for example, in the immigrant community, where I've sat down with immigrants who would say things like, well, I've done everything right to earn my citizenship. Why should somebody who does not have, who came here quote. I'm going to quote it illegally. So I don't believe that any human is illegal. Why somebody who didn't come here, in the way that they should, get citizenship, and that's where we, as oppressed people, become oppressors of others, right?
Exactly.
And that's where we need to have a sense of awakening to go back to our core of how much compassion do we have for ourselves and for others. Is it that because there is a system that was set up in place to deny you the basic necessities to live, right? Should we believe in that system and say, I'm okay with that. I survived it, so somebody else should. And if they don't,
then good luck.
Then good luck, right? Or should we say, wait a minute, I've been through that system and I understand its flaws.
Yep.
And I did survive. And nobody survives on their own.
Yep.
There is a huge community, those you know and those you don't know, who have helped you to survive and make it out, right? Now, your responsibility is to look back at that experience, at that hurt and pain, and what you learned and what you witnessed, right? And to do everything you can, everything in your power, to change it into something that is better. Because the less trauma in our society, the less pain in our society, the more people will thrive, the more people will build, and the more love we can have in our country, and we can be united again. So I say, get off your couch or stay in your couch and phone bank. Stay in your couch. And phone bank for the Yes on 2 campaign, for ranked choice voting, so you can have more voice. You can tell people, how you rank the candidates in any given race. Text a friend and tell them to vote. Ask them if they have a plan. These things are very important to our democracy. And if we believe in them, we will achieve them.
Definitely. I was wondering, I've heard from many people that, it's, and there is some doubt, okay, people will get so disheartened because of the way politics is playing. Oh, it's useless, why should we go out and vote, and something is going to happen, so it's easier not to do it rather than instead doing it, right? How can we voice that weakness of ours, that we become a little lazy and put it on somebody else? Is there a way, is there a formula? And how can we bring the youth more, how can we involve them? So maybe that can be a motivator for the, parents and older people. Which way is it better? Because you're yourself young, and you must have seen on your campaigns and your work that people, I'm sure you must have had many moments of oh, God, just learn about it or educate yourself. It's okay. It doesn't take too much. You can know a little bit and do a lot. You don't have to know the whole book of Constitution and understand each and every law in order for you to participate.
Yeah, luckily we have a very small constitution.
Yes, exactly. It's a little book. I have it.
Yes, I have my little blue book that I got in my naturalization ceremony.
Yes,
and I think that when you earn, when you earn a new knowledge, when you learn something new, for example, you were curious about what the Green New Deal is, and you went and you read the very short resolution of what this vision is, right? And how it can be laid out, and how we can imagine a country and a world that is not run on fossil fuels, for example, that is giving unionized jobs, union jobs to everyone, right? Or the jobs guarantee. How can we learn about these simple things that can bring major change in our country and that are truly driven by our youth? Because when we think about our own lives, and you mentioned I'm young, and I keep mentioning I'm 35 and I have an 8-year-old because I don't feel young.
So many out there will feel, this she's just a baby. So
maybe because my responsibilities are
Yes, yes.
so
I think
hefty
that's what it is. Yes.
that I
So you
feel,
have an
yeah,
80-year-old. Okay. So you're
yeah,
gonna teach her or him. Is it her or him?
her,
Her.
Nora. Yes.
Nora, mashallah. So you are gonna teach her. Like I'm sure she's getting all the training from you now at this stage and age, right? Maybe you talk to her. Do you talk to
I
her?
think it's vice versa. I think it's also mutual.
Okay.
She teaches me certain things. She's like a plain canvas, so she says what she sees,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And a lot of the time, I really uh, check in with her, and I confide in her certain things that I'm thinking about, and she gives me insight,
Wow.
right? She just gives me that, and it just makes me feel amazing, like if she can actually see into my core. And so it's my responsibility towards her is that, look, she's 8. We got 10 years in this. We got 10 years to transfer our economy into a
Yeah.
green economy,
Yeah.
right? In 10 years, she's going to be 18.
Yes. Yes.
So
Inshallah.
I'm thinking about my 18-year-old and whether she's going to be able to breathe clean air and drink clean water, whether she's going to be able to contribute to the betterment of society here. And
Exactly. In the US. But so, yeah, that's a very important point that uh, you are thinking, and everybody is thinking, and obviously you are thinking about your daughter, and it's not only your daughter. You're thinking about all the other youth that will be 18 in 10 years. What are we giving them? What are we leaving for them? Right? That's what the very important issue nowadays. Actually, we should think about our generations that are coming rather than what's in here for us. So I don't know if you want to finish that thought.
yeah, I was just saying that a lot of the time we talk about the youth as if, we say that they are our future, but we
They,
are their future.
yeah,
The
that's
decisions
true
that
though.
we make right now
That's true.
determine their future.
That's
And
true.
so that is a responsibility that we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to keep, on our shoulders. And
That's true. That is so true. Actually, yeah, and they are the present also because they are still young, and what are they learning and getting out of now, which they will be practicing if they don't see much positive, actions and talk going on. That's true. Okay. How is it during the COVID times? What have you learned? What can you share? Anything positive that's coming out? I know there's so many, uh, deaths and all the stories and everybody is going through something. It has touched everyone. Anything that we can find something hopeful during this time?